When a struggling black college waitress gives her last dollar to pay a bus fare for a lost old man, she thinks it's just another small act of kindness on a hard day. But when she discovers he can't remember his name and no one else will help, she takes him in, risking her job, her home, and her future. What she doesn't know is that the man she's protecting is the father of a powerful CEO, and her compassion will soon rewrite all their destinies. Before we dive deeper into this story, let me know where you're watching from, and don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming stories every day. The Atlanta sky hung gray and heavy that October afternoon. Aaliyah Brooks shouldered her backpack and stepped out of the business building, her sneakers hitting the pavement with the rhythm of exhaustion. 19 years old and already running on fumes. Her phone buzzed. A reminder: shift starts 3 p.m. Don't be late. She checked her watch. 2:17 p.m. The bus would get her there by 2:55 if it ran on time, which it never did. She checked her wallet. $2 bills, one for the bus, one for ramen tonight. That was it until Friday's paycheck, and Friday was 3 days away. The morning's lecture echoed in her head. Professor Martinez talking about market economics, supply and demand, the invisible hand. All theory. Nothing about what to do when your stomach hurt from hunger, or your shoes had holes, or your landlord threatened eviction every other day. The bus stop was crowded. Students scrolled through phones, earbuds in, lost in their own worlds. A mother bounced a crying baby on her hip. Two businessmen talked loudly about quarterly projections. Aaliyah found a spot near the back of the line and tried not to think about how her stomach had been growling since noon. She'd skipped breakfast. Skipped lunch too. That dollar for ramen had to last until tomorrow night. The number 42 bus pulled up with a hydraulic hiss. People shuffled forward. Cards ready. Bills clutched. That's when she saw him. An old white man, maybe 70, stood at the front of the line, fumbling through his pockets. His clothes hung loose and dirty, a jacket that might have been nice 20 years ago, pants stained at the knees. His hands shook as he pulled out quarters, counted them, lost count, started over. "Come on, man," someone shouted from the back. The bus driver, a middle-aged white man with tired eyes and salt and pepper hair, sighed. "Sir, it's $2 exact. You got it or not?" "I think I—" The old man's voice cracked. He dropped a quarter. It rolled across the sidewalk, catching the light, then disappeared under the bus. People groaned. Someone muttered something about homeless people always holding up the line. The mother with the baby pushed past him, swiping her card with an annoyed huff. The businessmen followed, shaking their heads. Aaliyah watched the old man's shoulders curl inward. He looked so small suddenly, so lost. Like a child who'd wandered away from his parents and couldn't find his way back. The driver's hand moved toward the lever to close the door. "Wait." Aaliyah's voice came out before her brain caught up. She stepped forward, pulling out one of her $2. "Here, for him." The driver looked at her. The old man looked at her. Everyone in line looked at her. "You sure, honey?" the driver asked, his voice softer now. No, she wasn't sure. That dollar was her dinner. That dollar was the difference between eating tonight and going to bed hungry. But the old man's eyes were blue and watery and desperate, and something in her chest twisted. Her mother's voice echoed in her head. "Be good to people, baby, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard." "Yeah, I'm sure." She dropped the bill in the fare box. The old man stared at her like she'd just handed him the moon. "Thank you, miss," he whispered, his voice breaking. "Thank you so much. God bless you. It's okay." Aaliyah climbed the steps behind him, feeling everyone's eyes on her back. "Really? It's fine." The bus lurched forward. The old man grabbed a pole to steady himself, then shuffled toward a seat. People turned away from him, pulling bags closer, avoiding eye contact. One woman actually got up and moved to a different seat when he sat down across from her. Aaliyah found a seat near the middle and tried to ignore the empty feeling in her stomach. She'd figure out dinner. Maybe she could stretch that remaining dollar by buying a single pack of ramen and splitting it into 2 meals. Or maybe she'd just drink water and go to bed early. 3 stops later, she noticed the old man was still standing in the aisle, swaying with each turn, confusion written all over his face. He looked out the window like he didn't recognize anything. His lips moved, forming silent words. His hands gripped the pole so tight his knuckles were white. Aaliyah bit her lip. "Not my problem," she told herself. You already helped. You're going to be late. Mrs. Dillon already hates you. But the man's hands were shaking worse now. He looked around the bus like he'd just woken up in a foreign country and couldn't remember how he got there. She stood up. Sir, you okay? He turned those blue eyes on her again. Up close she could see they were rimmed red, like he'd been crying. Or maybe like he hadn't slept in days. Where am I? On the bus, the 42. Where are you trying to go? I don't. His face crumpled, aging 20 years in 2 seconds. I don't know. Aaliyah's stomach dropped. She glanced at her phone. 2:41 p.m. 14 minutes until her shift started. Her manager already hated her for being late twice last month. But this man looked terrified. Actually, genuinely terrified. Here, sit down. She guided him to an empty seat near her. He sat heavily, his whole body trembling. What's your name? My name. He stared at his hands like they belonged to someone else. Henry, I think it's Henry. Okay, Henry. That's good. That's a start. Do you know your last name? He shook his head slowly, like his neck hurt. Do you know your address? Phone number, anyone I can call for you? Another head shake. His breathing was getting faster, panic setting in. It's okay, Aaliyah said, even though nothing was okay. We'll figure it out. Do you remember anything? Anything at all? There was coffee. His voice was distant now, dreamy. I remember coffee, the smell of it, roasting beans, sunrise coming through big windows, and rain. My wife loved the rain. His voice broke. Where's my wife? Oh God. Aaliyah looked around the bus. Nobody was paying attention. Nobody cared. They were all in their own worlds, scrolling and texting and talking, completely unaware that a human being was falling apart 3 feet away from them. It's okay, Henry, she said again, putting her hand on his arm. He flinched, then relaxed. We're going to figure this out. I promise. She had no idea how she was going to keep that promise. The bus reached the end of the line at 2:53 p.m. Everyone filed off except Aaliyah and Henry. The driver called back. This is the last stop, folks. Everybody off. Henry didn't move. He stared out the window at a street he didn't recognize, muttering under his breath. Coffee, wife. Rain, Jacob. Aaliyah touched his shoulder gently. Henry, we have to get off now. Come on. He looked at her like he was seeing her for the first time. Do I know you? Her heart sank. We met on the bus, about 20 minutes ago. Remember, I paid your fare. You did? His eyes filled with tears. That was kind. You're very kind. Come on. Let's go. She helped him down the steps. His movements were slow, unsteady, like someone who'd forgotten how his own body worked. The driver gave her a look, half sympathy, half warning. You taking care of him, honey? I'm trying to figure out what to do. Police station's 2 blocks that way. The driver pointed west with one thick finger. They can help. Or call social services. Good luck, kid. You're doing a good thing. The doors closed. The bus rumbled away, leaving them on the corner of Peachtree and 10th. Aaliyah checked her phone. 2:55 p.m. Her shift had just started without her. She texted her manager. Emergency. Family thing. On my way ASAP. The response was immediate. Don't bother coming in. You're done. Fired. Pick up your last check Friday. She stared at the message, read it 3 times, let it sink in. Fired. Just like that. Because she'd stopped to help someone. Miss, Henry's voice was small, childlike. I'm sorry, I'm causing trouble, aren't I? No, you're not. She pocketed her phone, pushing down the panic rising in her chest like flood water. Come on, let's get you some help. The police station was a gray brick building that looked like it had given up on humanity sometime during the Reagan administration. Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry insects. The air smelled like burnt coffee and decades of desperation. A young officer sat behind bulletproof glass, playing on his phone. He didn't look up when they approached. Aaliyah tapped on the glass. Hi, excuse me, I need help with. Fill out a form. He still didn't look up. No, I found this man. He doesn't know his name or where he lives. I think he has memory loss or dementia or something. He needs help. Is he hurt? No, but is he threatening anyone? No, is he committing a crime? No, but that's not. Then fill out a form. The officer finally looked up, his eyes flicking from Aaliyah to Henry, who stood behind her swaying slightly. We can't hold someone just because they're confused. This isn't a shelter. I'm not asking you to hold him. I'm asking you to help find his family. He's lost. Someone must be looking for him. An older officer walked by, coffee mug in hand, belly hanging over his belt. He glanced at Henry and chuckled. Homeless guy, right? We got about 100 of those around here, sweetheart. Can't help everyone. He's not just homeless, he's lost. There's a difference. Sure there is. The young officer slid a clipboard through the gap in the glass. Fill this out. Someone will call you. Maybe. The way he said maybe made it crystal clear that nobody would call. Nobody would care. This man would become a number in a file that nobody would ever read. Aaliyah's hands clenched into fists. She wanted to scream at them. Wanted to tell them they'd signed up to protect and serve. Not to sit behind bulletproof glass playing Candy Crush while people suffered. But screaming wouldn't help Henry. She took the clipboard and led him to a plastic chair in the corner, sat beside him. What's your full name? She asked, pen hovering over the form. Henry. He frowned, concentrating so hard his whole face wrinkled. Henry, something. It starts with W, I think. Or M. I can't. It's okay. What about your address? There's a tree, a big oak tree in the front, and a blue door. I painted it blue because she loved blue. The flowers were blue too. Hydrangeas. She said they reminded her of the sky. That could be anywhere in Atlanta, anywhere in Georgia, anywhere in America. Do you have any family? Children? A son. His face brightened. I had a son, Jacob. His name was Jacob. Smart boy. So smart. He ran the business after I. The light faded. What business? I can't remember. Aaliyah filled out what she could, which wasn't much. Name Henry, last name unknown, address unknown, family, possibly a son named Jacob, last name unknown. When she returned the clipboard, the officer barely glanced at it before tossing it in a pile of at least 30 other forms. Someone will be in touch, he said, already looking back at his phone. Outside the sun was setting. Orange light painted the sidewalk like spilled paint. Henry shivered. The temperature was dropping fast. October in Atlanta could be warm during the day and cold at night. Aaliyah looked at him, really looked at him. His jacket was thin, barely enough for spring, let alone a cold night. His shoes had holes in the soles. When was the last time he'd eaten? When was the last time anyone had shown him basic human kindness? When was the last time she'd eaten? Her stomach growled, answering the question. Come on, she said, making a decision that was probably stupid but felt necessary. Let's get you something to eat. I don't have money, miss. I know, me either. Well, I have $1 left. She smiled, even though she wanted to cry. But I'm buying you half a sandwich, and we're both going to pretend it's a feast. Henry's eyes filled with tears again. You're too kind to an old fool like me. You're not a fool, you're just lost, and everyone deserves help when they're lost. The corner store had seen better days. The sign flickered. The windows needed washing, but inside it was warm and bright and smelled like coffee and cleaning solution. Behind the counter, a teenage kid with acne and dead eyes barely looked up from his phone. Aaliyah scanned the refrigerated section. Day-old sandwiches were 99 cents. She grabbed one turkey and cheese. And can I get a plastic knife? She asked at the register. The kid sighed like she'd asked him to donate a kidney. We're not supposed to give those out anymore. Please? I just need to split this sandwich. Another sigh. He reached under the counter and tossed her a knife. Whatever. She paid with her last dollar. Got 1 penny back. Her entire net worth. Outside she led Henry to the bus stop bench. Under the shelter, protected from the wind, she carefully cut the sandwich in half. Gave him the bigger piece. You take that one, Henry protested weakly. You're young. You need your strength. I already ate, she lied smoothly. Had a big lunch on campus. Go ahead. He knew she was lying. She could see it in his eyes. But he was too hungry and too grateful to argue. They ate slowly, making the food last. Aaliyah took tiny bites, chewing carefully, trying to trick her body into feeling full. It didn't work. An ambulance screamed past, lights flashing red and blue across their faces. Then another, then a fire truck. The city was always on fire with emergencies, always someone hurt or dying or burning. The world never stopped needing saving. You're a good girl, Henry said suddenly. Your mother raised you right. Aaliyah's throat tightened. Her mother, God. She missed her mother. 3 years since the cancer took her, and it still felt like yesterday. Still felt like an open wound that wouldn't heal. Thank you. I had a daughter once. His eyes went distant, staring at something only he could see. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. I can't tell anymore what's real and what's a dream. Do you remember her name? No. Yes? Sarah? Emily? He pressed his hands to his temples. It's in there somewhere. Everything's in there. I just can't reach it. They sat in silence watching cars pass. The city hummed around them, loud and busy and utterly indifferent. Thousands of people rushing home to warm houses and full refrigerators and families who loved them. And here sat two people who had nothing. Less than nothing. Aaliyah checked the time. 6:47 p.m. In another life, a life that had existed just 4 hours ago, she'd be finishing her shift right now. Mrs. Dillon would be counting the register. The smell of fried food would cling to her clothes. She'd be tired but proud, knowing she'd earned another day's pay. Now she had nothing. No job, no paycheck coming, no prospects, and a stranger to take care of. This was probably the stupidest thing she'd ever done. But Henry looked at her with such gratitude, such pure relief at not being alone, that she couldn't regret it. Not completely. Where do you work? He asked, finishing the last bite of his sandwich. Worked, past tense. She tried to keep her voice light, casual. At a diner. Lou's place, down on Marietta Street. Were you going there? Before you stopped to help me. Yeah. I made you late. It's fine. You lost your job because of me. It wasn't a question. Aaliyah didn't answer. What could she say? Yes, but it's okay. It wasn't okay. It was terrible, but it also wasn't his fault. Not really. I'm sorry, Henry whispered. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. My manager was looking for an excuse anyway. That was partially true. Mrs. Dillon had never liked her much. I'll find something else. What will you do now? Good question. Great question. If only she had an answer. I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. I always do. You should go home. Your family is probably worried. Home, right. The 10 by 12 room she rented above a laundromat, where the landlord had already texted twice today about overdue rent, where she kept instant ramen in a plastic bin, and wore 3 layers to bed because the heat barely worked. I will, she said. But first I need to figure out what to do with you. She couldn't take him to a shelter. Most had waiting lists weeks long or strict intake times that had already passed. She couldn't afford a hotel room. Even the cheapest ones were $60 a night. The police had been useless. That left one option. One stupid, probably dangerous, definitely foolish option. Henry, how do you feel about laundromats? He looked confused. They're clean. Close enough. Come on. They walked 12 blocks. Henry moved slowly, his feet shuffling, his breathing labored. Aaliyah matched his pace, staying close in case he stumbled. When they passed Lou's place, she couldn't help but look in the window. The dinner rush was in full swing. Her former co-workers rushed between tables, balancing plates, refilling drinks. Sarah was working the register. Marcus was clearing table 6. They looked busy, stressed, but employed. Mrs. Dillon stood by the kitchen, arms crossed, barking orders. For a moment Aaliyah considered going in. Maybe if she apologized enough, groveled enough, promised to never be late again. But no, she had some pride left. Not much but some. That's where you worked? Henry asked. Yeah. Looks busy, always is. They kept walking. Her building sat on a corner between a pawn shop with bars on the windows and a liquor store that attracted drunks and dealers. The neon wash and dry sign flickered arrhythmically, casting red light across the cracked sidewalk. This is home. Aaliyah said. It's not much. Actually, it's pretty terrible. But it's warm. The stairs creaked ominously as they climbed. Her room was on the 3rd floor, barely big enough for a twin bed, a hot plate, and a lamp she'd bought at Goodwill. The bathroom was shared with 3 other tenants. The walls were so thin she could hear Mrs. Chen watching Korean dramas next door. But it was hers, for now, until Friday when rent was due and she couldn't pay. You can sleep in that chair, she said. pointing to the only chair in the room. A ratty floral armchair she'd found on the curb last year. One leg was shorter than the others, so it rocked slightly. "I'll find you a blanket." She pulled her winter coat from the closet, a puffy monstrosity her mother had bought her senior year of high school, and draped it over him. It smelled like mothballs and memories. "This is too much," Henry protested. "You'll be cold." "I've got plenty of blankets, don't worry." She had 2 thin blankets and a sleeping bag with a broken zipper, but he didn't need to know that. She filled a pot with water from the bathroom sink, and set it on the hot plate, added the ramen noodles, the last package in her bin. While it cooked she glanced at Henry. He'd fallen asleep already, his mouth open slightly, his hands folded in his lap like a child. He looked peaceful and old and completely vulnerable. "What am I doing?" Aaliyah thought. "I just lost my job. I'm 3 days from eviction. I have 1 penny to my name, and I'm taking care of a stranger." But she divided the ramen into 2 bowls anyway, ate hers sitting on her bed, the springs creaking under her weight. The noodles were bland and soft, and barely enough to quiet her stomach, but they were warm. That counted for something. Around midnight, she lay in her narrow bed, listening to the sounds of the building settling. Someone was having sex upstairs. Someone else was arguing in Spanish. A dog barked endlessly. Henry stirred in the chair, making small sounds. "Miss, I'm here." He was quiet for a moment. "Then you remind me of..." His voice was soft, almost dreamy. "Someone I loved. Someone very good." Aaliyah felt tears prick her eyes. "Get some sleep, Henry." "You're an angel," he murmured. "A real angel. God sent you to save me." She wasn't an angel. She was just a broke college student who'd made a choice. A probably stupid choice. A choice that would probably ruin what little life she had left. But as she lay there listening to Henry's gentle snoring, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Purpose. Maybe kindness was its own reward. Maybe it wasn't. She'd find out soon enough. Sleep came slowly, filled with dreams of coffee shops with blue doors and oak trees, of her mother dancing in the rain. Morning came too fast. Aaliyah woke to someone pounding on her door. Brooks Rent. Now, her landlord, Mr. Chen. Lovely way to start the day. She stumbled out of bed, noting that Henry was still asleep in the chair. "Just a second." "You're 2 weeks late," Mr. Chen shouted through the door. "I need the money today or you're out." I know, I'm working on it." "Work faster." 6 p.m. "That's your deadline. Don't make me call the sheriff." His footsteps retreated down the stairs, each step a countdown to homelessness. Aaliyah sank against the door. Rent was $450. Her checking account had $23 plus the penny from last night. Her last paycheck from Lou's, whenever Mrs. Dillon got around to mailing it, would be maybe $180 at most. She was so screwed. Henry opened his eyes. "Is everything all right?" "Yeah, fine." She forced a smile that felt like cracking concrete. "Just landlord stuff. Nothing to worry about." Except everything was something to worry about. Everything was falling apart. She had one hope left, the university financial aid office. Sometimes they had emergency loans for students in crisis situations. She'd never applied before, had been too proud, too determined to handle everything herself. But desperate times and all that. "Henry, I need to go to campus this morning. Do you want to come with me, or I can leave you here?" "No." His voice was sharp, panicked. "Don't leave me alone, please." Okay, you'll come with me then." She helped him wash his face in the shared bathroom, ignoring the curious looks from Mr. Johnson, who was shaving at the other sink. Combed Henry's hair with her fingers, found him a slightly cleaner shirt from her tiny closet, an old XL t-shirt from her mother's, things that hung loose on him, but was better than the torn shirt he'd been wearing. They ate the last granola bar in her room, splitting it carefully. Henry tried to give her the bigger half. She refused. "You're skin and bones," he said. "So are you." They compromised, cutting it as evenly as possible. The bus ride to Georgia State took 20 minutes. Aaliyah used her last transit fare, mentally calculating how she'd get home. Walk, probably. 3 miles, no big deal. She'd walked farther. The financial aid office was in the student center, a building she usually avoided, because it was always crowded and smelled like anxiety and cheap cologne. Today was no exception. Students everywhere, all looking as stressed as she felt, some crying, some arguing with advisors, some just staring at walls defeated. Aaliyah took a number 47. The display showed they were serving number 23. This was going to take forever. Henry sat beside her in an orange plastic chair, watching people with quiet curiosity. Someone had left a newspaper on the chair next to him. He picked it up, staring at the front page like he was trying to decode ancient hieroglyphics. Stock market hits new high, he read slowly. But what does that mean? Who does it help? Rich people mostly. He kept reading. Young CEO revolutionizes coffee industry with sustainable practices. He squinted at the photo. Jacob. That name is Jacob. Your son, maybe. I don't know. He set the paper down, frustrated. Everything feels like it should mean something, but I can't connect the pieces. Do you remember anything else? Aaliyah asked. About your family, where you lived. Coffee, he said again, like a mantra. I remember coffee, the smell of it, roasting beans, different kinds, Ethiopian, Colombian, Brazilian, the way morning light came through big windows and he gestured vaguely, somewhere, a place I loved, or maybe I'm making it up, maybe I never had that. Did you work with coffee? Maybe, probably, I think I built something, created something. His brow furrowed deep, his whole face concentrating. There was a place, a shop, people smiling. My son, his face brightened. I had a son, Jacob. His name was Jacob. He was smart, so smart. He took over after what? I don't know. The light faded from his eyes. It's gone again. Number 47 was finally called at 11:43 a.m. Over 2 hours of waiting. The financial aid counselor was a young woman, maybe 25, with kind eyes and terrible news. I'm sorry, Aaliyah. I really am. Emergency loans are only for documented emergencies, medical bills, family death, natural disasters. Job loss doesn't qualify under university policy. But I'll lose my housing. Have you looked into student housing? We have some spaces available in. The waiting list is 6 months long. I checked freshman year. What about staying with family temporarily? My mother's dead. I don't have anyone else. The counselor's face softened. I'm really sorry. I wish I could help. My hands are tied by policy. Have you tried local charities, churches? The Salvation Army sometimes helps with emergency rent assistance. Aaliyah stood. Thanks anyway. Wait, here. The counselor wrote something on a post-it note. This is a church on West Peachtree. They have a community fund. It's not much, but maybe they can help. Aaliyah took the paper. Thank you. Outside the sun was warm, but the air was cold. Fall in the south was like that. Confused, unable to commit. Her phone buzzed. A text from her roommate from freshman year. Sarah Kim. Hey, want to grab lunch? Been forever.
Lunch. Right. With what money? She texted back. Can't. Dealing with some stuff. Rain check. Sarah. Everything okay? Yeah, just busy. Talk soon. Her stomach growled so loudly Henry looked at her. You haven't eaten. I'm fine. You gave me your food last night, and half your granola bar this morning, and your coat, and your home. His voice was firmer than she'd heard it, almost parental. You're not fine, you're starving yourself to feed me. Really, Henry, there's a soup kitchen, 2 blocks from here. I saw the sign when we walked. Let's go there. Pride warred with practicality. Aaliyah had never been to a soup kitchen. That was for people who were really struggling, really homeless. But what was she now? Okay. The soup kitchen was in a church basement, stone steps leading down, a wooden sign that said all are welcome. The line stretched up the stairs and onto the sidewalk. At least 30 people. Aaliyah had never been in a line like this before. Everyone looked so normal, she thought. That woman could be someone's mother. That man in the suit, did he just lose his job too? That teenager, is he a runaway? That could be me in a month. That was her now. The volunteer serving was a middle-aged woman with a kind smile and tired eyes. Vegetable soup or chicken? Chicken, please. She ladled the soup generously, adding an extra piece of bread. You look hungry, honey. Take 2 breads. Thank you. They found seats at a long table with strangers.
The soup was thin but hot. The bread was dry but filling. Henry ate gratefully, his hands steadier today. Across from them a woman with 3 kids tried to keep them quiet. The oldest, maybe 8, stared at Aaliyah's backpack with big eyes. "You in school?" the girl asked. "Yeah, Georgia State. I want to go to college." The girl's eyes were bright with dreaming. "I want to be a doctor, help people." "That's amazing," Aaliyah said, and meant it. "What's your name?" "Destiny." "That's a beautiful name. You're going to make a great doctor someday, Destiny." The girl's mother smiled tiredly. "She's smart. Straight as. Even though she glanced at her kids, "even with everything, then you'll make it." Aaliyah told Destiny, "Keep working hard. Don't let anyone tell you you can't." Looking at this family, this mother working so hard to keep her kids fed and hopeful, Aaliyah felt her own problems shrink slightly. At least it was just her. She didn't have kids depending on her. She only had to figure out how to save herself. And Henry. She had to figure out how to help Henry. After lunch, she made a decision. A probably futile decision, but she had to try. "Henry, I'm going back to Lou's place. Maybe I can convince Mrs. Dillon to give me one more chance. If I explain about you, about the emergency." She was very angry. "I know, but I have to try. I need that job." Lou's place looked exactly the same. Through the window, she could see the lunch rush dying down. Mrs. Dillon stood by the register, counting receipts with sharp, efficient movements. Aaliyah pushed open the door. The bell chimed, that same cheerful sound that now felt mocking. She let Henry sit at a corner booth by the window, away from other customers, trying to make him invisible. She approached the counter. "Mrs. Dillon, please. I need to talk to you." Mrs. Dillon's jaw tightened. She didn't look up from the receipts. "I told you yesterday. I know what you told me. But I'm begging for another chance. I'm a good worker. You know I am. My performance reviews have always been positive." "You were late," repeatedly. "Twice. I was late twice in 6 months. And I had good reasons both times. And yesterday you brought a homeless man into my restaurant." "He's not homeless. He's lost. He has a family somewhere. I'm trying to help him find them." "That's very noble." Mrs. Dillon's voice dripped sarcasm. "But this is a business, not a charity. I understand that. But he's a human being. He needed help. And you decided that was more important than your job." "Yes, I did." Mrs. Dillon finally looked up, her eyes cold. "Then you made your choice. Now live with it." "Mrs. Dillon, please. I'll be on time. I'll work extra shifts. I'll do whatever you need. Just give me another chance." "No." Mrs. Dillon glanced at Henry. "And get him out of here. Now, before I call the police. He's just sitting. He's not bothering anyone. He's bad for business. People don't want to eat next to homeless people. He's a person. This is my restaurant." Mrs. Dillon's voice rose. Other customers were staring now. "I decide who stays and who goes. And you're both going. Now." Mr. Peterson, a regular who came in every Tuesday for the meatloaf special, spoke up from his booth. "Hey, come on. The girl's just helping an old man. There's no harm in." "Stay out of this, Peterson. I'm just saying there's no call to be so harsh. It's not like, are you the manager here?" Mrs. Dillon snapped. "No." "Then shut your mouth and eat your meatloaf." Mr. Peterson pulled out his phone, started recording. "You know what? People should see how you treat folks. This is messed up." Mrs. Dillon's face turned purple. "Put that away. You can't record in here. It's a public place. I can record whatever I want. Lou, get out here." "Lou." The cook came out looking confused and uncomfortable. He was a good guy, mid-50s, who always snuck extra fries onto her plate when Mrs. Dillon wasn't looking. "What's going on?" he asked. "These people need to leave. Now." Lou looked at Aaliyah, at Henry, at Mrs. Dillon. His face was pained. "Come on, Mrs. D. Maybe we can just, are you the manager or am I?" "You are." "Then tell them to leave." Lou's shoulders sagged. "I'm sorry, Aaliyah. You gotta go." Aaliyah grabbed Henry's arm. "Come on, let's get out of here." "Because of me," Henry said as they pushed through the door, the bell chiming cheerfully behind them. "You lost everything because of me." "No." Rain started falling again, cold and mean, hitting her face like tiny accusations. "I lost it because the world forgot how to be kind." But part of her wondered if maybe she was the fool. Maybe kindness was for people who could afford it. Maybe she should have just walked past Henry that day on the bus. No, she couldn't think like that. They walked with no destination, rain soaking through their clothes, both of them shivering. Aaliyah's phone buzzed. Mr. Chen, time's up. Your stuff is on the curb. Locks are changed. Don't bother coming back. She stared at the message. Then she started laughing. Couldn't help it. Hysterical laughter that bordered on crying. What's funny? Henry asked. Nothing. Everything. She wiped rain from her face, or maybe tears, hard to tell. I'm homeless now. Officially completely homeless. I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. It's not your fault, but it kind of was, and it kind of wasn't. The world was complicated like that. They walked for an hour with no destination. Aaliyah's feet hurt in her worn sneakers. The hole in her left sole let water in with every step. Her stomach was empty again. The soup hadn't been enough. Rain fell harder, turning from drizzle to downpour. They ended up at a bus stop, huddling under the small shelter. Water dripped through a crack in the roof, creating a rhythmic plink 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 on the metal bench. Aaliyah's phone buzzed again. Another text from Mr. Chen, this time with a photo. Her belongings piled on the wet curb. Her clothes, her textbooks, her mother's jewelry box, everything she owned, getting ruined in the rain. She stared at the photo, too tired to cry, too defeated to feel anything. Henry sat beside her, shivering. She wrapped her arm around him, trying to share what little warmth she had left. A bus pulled up. Number 42, the same route from 2 days ago. Different driver though. A young guy with headphones around his neck. You getting on? He asked. Aaliyah had no money for fare. No, thanks. The bus pulled away, spraying water from a puddle across their legs. They sat in silence. Around them the city rushed past, people in cars, warm and dry, heading home to families and dinners and lives that made sense. Lives where problems had solutions and hard work paid off and the world was fair. Aaliyah had never felt so invisible. She and Henry could disappear right here and nobody would notice. Nobody would care. Another bus, another refusal, another spray of dirty water. Henry shivered violently. Aaliyah wrapped both arms around him now, her own body shaking from cold. Tell me about your wife, she said, desperate for distraction. You mentioned her yesterday. You said she loved rain. Henry's face softened, memory breaking through the fog. She would dance in it. I thought she was crazy. He chuckled, the sound weak but genuine. She'd kick off her shoes and spin in the driveway while the neighbors watched. Didn't care what anyone thought. Said rain was a gift. Said most people spent their lives running from gifts. What was her name? Margaret. Maggie. His voice grew tender. Her hair would stick to her face when it got wet. She'd laugh and laugh. God. Her laugh. It was. He trailed off, lost in a memory he could see but not quite touch. What happened to her? She died. The words came out flat. Final. Cancer. Stage 4. Moved fast. She was dancing one day and gone 3 months later. His voice broke. At least I think that's what happened. Or was it pneumonia? Or did she fall? I can't remember. I can't remember. And that's the worst part. The woman I loved for 43 years and I can't even remember how she died. It's okay. No. It's not. Tears mixed with rain on his face. My whole life is in my head somewhere and I can't reach it. It's like drowning. Like being buried alive in my own mind. Everything important. Every memory. Every person I loved. It's all locked behind a door I can't open. Aaliyah held him tighter. What could she say to that? What words existed for that kind of loss? They sat for a long time. The rain eased to a drizzle around 10 p.m. The temperature dropped further. Someone had left a soggy newspaper in the shelter. Aaliyah spread it on the bench. A pathetic attempt at insulation. A police car drove by slowly. The officer looked at them. Aaliyah tensed, waiting for him to stop, to tell them they couldn't sleep here. But he just kept driving. They weren't worth the paperwork apparently. Around midnight the city quieted. Even Atlanta had to sleep sometimes. The buses stopped running. The bars closed. The streets emptied except for a few cars and the occasional person hurrying home. Henry spoke suddenly, his voice clear and thoughtful. Kind people change the world, don't they? Aaliyah looked at him, surprised by the lucidity. They try. But the world doesn't make it easy. No, it doesn't. Why do you do it then? He turned to face her, his blue eyes searching. Why be kind when it costs so much? When it takes everything from you? Aaliyah thought about her mother, about the last conversation they'd had before the morphine took her under for the final time. Her mother's hand so light and thin, squeezing hers. Her voice barely a whisper. Be good to people, baby. That's all that matters in the end. Not money, not success. Just whether you made someone's life a little less hard. Because somebody has to. Aaliyah said. Because if everyone just looks out for themselves, what kind of world do we have? And if not me, then who? Henry smiled sadly. Your mother raised you right. Yeah, she did. Even though it got her killed. What do you mean? She delayed her own treatment to pay for my first year of college. Didn't tell me until it was too late. By the time I found out, the cancer had spread. Aaliyah's voice was flat, stating facts. She chose me over herself. Was that kind, or was that stupid? It was love. Is there a difference? Henry thought about that. I don't know. Maybe love and kindness are the same thing. Maybe they're both about choosing to care even when it hurts. They fell silent again. Aaliyah's eyes grew heavy. She fought sleep. Someone needed to stay awake, stay alert, keep them safe. But exhaustion won. She dreamed of coffee shops with blue doors and oak trees, of her mother dancing in the rain, hair sticking to her face, laughing like the world was good. When she woke, dawn was breaking. Gray light filtered through clouds still heavy with rain. Henry was awake, staring at his hands like they'd just appeared. Morning. Aaliyah croaked. Her throat hurt. Her body ached. Everything hurt. I remembered something. His voice was excited, urgent. While you were sleeping, it came back, pieces of it. Aaliyah sat up straight, ignoring the protest from her stiff muscles. What did you remember? My name. My full name. Henry Whitmore. He said it with reverence, like a prayer. And the business. Whitmore and Sons. Coffee. We roasted coffee. My father started it. I built it into something bigger. Then Jacob, my son Jacob. He took over when you what? I don't remember that part. But I remember his phone number. At least I think I do. The numbers are in my head. He looked at her, eyes clearer than she'd seen them. I need a phone, please. I need to call my son. Aaliyah handed Henry her phone with shaking hands. The battery was at 8%. She'd have to find somewhere to charge it soon. Add that to the list of impossible problems. Do you remember the number? Henry stared at the screen. His fingers moved slowly, punching in numbers like he was following a map only he could see. His lips moved, counting. It rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Aaliyah held her breath. This better be important. A man's voice, sharp with sleep and irritation. Do you know what time it is? Jacob. Henry's voice cracked. Jacob. It's Dad. Silence. Long stretching silence. Then who the hell is this? If this is some kind of sick joke. It's not a joke. It's your father. Henry. Henry Whitmore. My father is dead. The voice was cold now. Defensive. He's been dead for 3 months. We had a memorial service. So whoever you are, whatever scam you're running. No. No, I'm not dead. I'm here. I'm in Atlanta. I'm Henry's hand shook so badly the phone nearly slipped. Please son. It's me. I know I disappeared. I know I've been gone. But it's really me. More silence. Aaliyah could hear breathing on the other end. Could hear the man thinking, calculating, trying to decide if this was real. Where are you? The voice changed, becoming careful, controlled. Where exactly? Henry looked at Aaliyah helplessly. She took the phone. Hi, this is Aaliyah Brooks. I found your father 2 days ago on a bus. He was confused. Couldn't remember his name or where he lived. He's been with me since then. Who are you? What do you want? Because if this is about money, I don't want anything. I'm just trying to help your father. Right. The man Jacob sounded suspicious. Aaliyah couldn't blame him. This had to sound insane. So some random girl finds my supposedly dead father and you're just helping out of the goodness of your heart. Yes. Nobody does that. I did. Why? Because he needed help. Aaliyah was too tired for games. Look, I don't know what you think is happening here. But your father is alive. He's sitting next to me. He's been lost for however long. And he just remembered your name and number. Do you want to talk to him or not? Another pause. Where are you exactly? Bus stop. Corner of Peachtree and 14th. Stay there. Don't move. Don't go anywhere. I'm sending someone to check this out. We're not going anywhere. We have nowhere to go. He hung up. Aaliyah looked at Henry. He's sending someone. He thinks I'm dead. Henry's face crumpled. Aging 20 years in 2 seconds. He thinks I'm dead. He had a memorial service. You're not dead. You're right here. And in a few minutes you'll see him again. What if he doesn't want to see me? What if he's angry? We fought. Before I left. I remember that now. We fought about something. The business maybe. Or my memory. He wanted me to see doctors and I was stubborn. I yelled at him. Called him. Henry pressed his hands to his face. Oh God, what did I say to him? Whatever you said, you can apologize. He'll understand. Will he? Aaliyah didn't know, but she said yes, of course he will. 20 minutes later, a black Mercedes pulled up to the curb, sleek and expensive and completely out of place in this neighborhood. A man in a gray suit stepped out, early 40s, tired eyes, the kind of face that looked like it smiled once but had forgotten how. He moved carefully, like someone expecting a trap. Henry Whitmore. Henry stood slowly, his body stiff from sitting all night in the cold. Jacob. Jacob stared, really stared. His eyes moved over his father's face like he was memorizing every line, every detail, checking them against memory. Dad. It's me, son. Jacob's face went through half a dozen emotions in 3 seconds. Disbelief, hope, recognition, joy, anger, relief, all of it crashing together. Jesus Christ. He closed the distance in 2 long steps and grabbed his father's shoulders. His hands shook. Dad. Oh my God. Dad. Where have you been? We've been looking everywhere. The police, private investigators. We've been. His voice broke. We thought you were dead. 3 months. 3 months with no word. I don't remember any of it. Everything's just fog. Jacob pulled his father into a tight hug. Both men were crying now, holding each other like they might disappear if they let go. Aaliyah stood awkwardly to the side, suddenly feeling like she was intruding on something deeply private. She took a few steps away, giving them space. Jacob finally pulled back, wiping his eyes with one hand while keeping the other on his father's shoulder. We need to get you to a doctor, right now. Dr. Richardson has been on call for weeks hoping for news. I feel fine. Better now. You don't look fine. You look. Jacob's voice caught. You look like you've been living on the streets. I was, for a while. I think, most of it's blank. Jacob looked around, taking in the bus stop, the rain, the general grimness of the situation. His eyes landed on Aaliyah. You're the one who called. Yes. Aaliyah Brooks. You've had him for 2 days. Yeah. Where? My apartment. Well, my old apartment. I got evicted last night, so mostly just here, at the bus stop. Jacob's expression shifted, really seeing her for the first time, taking in her wet clothes, her exhaustion, the backpack that probably held everything she owned now. You took care of my father. I tried to. Why? The question wasn't accusatory, just genuinely confused. Why would you do that? You didn't know him. The question caught her off guard. Because he needed help, and you just helped him. A complete stranger. Yes, most people wouldn't have done that. Jacob studied her face. Most people would have walked past, or called 911 and forgotten about it. I know, but you didn't. No. Henry spoke up, his voice stronger than it had been. She gave me her last dollar, for my bus fare, then she gave me her food, her home. She lost her job trying to help me, lost her apartment, lost everything. He gripped Jacob's arm with surprising strength. This girl is the reason I'm alive, the reason I'm standing here. Everyone else looked through me like I was invisible, but she saw me. Jacob's throat worked. He nodded slowly, then he pulled out his wallet, extracting several bills, hundreds, a lot of them. Please, take this, for everything you've done. Aaliyah stepped back. I don't want your money. You clearly need it though. That's not why I helped. I know. That's exactly why you should take it. Jacob pressed the bills toward her. You saved my father's life. You gave him dignity when everyone else saw garbage. This is nothing compared to that. She hesitated. Every practical instinct screamed at her to take it. That money could solve so many problems.
could get her into a motel for a week while she figured things out, could buy food, could buy time, but taking it felt wrong somehow, like it would cheapen what she'd done, turn kindness into a transaction. I didn't help him for money, I know, but take it anyway, please. Jacob's voice was earnest. You're homeless right now because of us. Let me fix that at least. Pride and survival warred inside her. Survival won. She took the money, counted it quickly. $800. More money than she'd seen in months, maybe ever. Thank you, she whispered. No, thank you. Jacob's voice was thick. You saved my father. I can never repay that. But I want to try. Can I have your number? We need to talk more, properly. When Dad's been checked out and I'm not falling apart, there's more I want to do, to offer you. You don't have to. I want to. Please. Let me. She gave him her number. He typed it into his phone carefully, like it was precious. Aaliyah Brooks, he said, testing the name. I won't forget what you did. Ever. Jacob helped Henry into the Mercedes. The old man moved slowly, his body remembering comfort. Before getting in himself, Jacob turned back. Aaliyah, I'm serious about talking. I'll call you tomorrow, today, soon. Whatever. Just don't disappear, okay? I won't. Good. And get yourself somewhere warm, please. The car pulled away, taking Henry with it. Taking the last 2 days with it. Aaliyah stood alone at the bus stop, holding $800 and feeling like she'd just stepped out of a fever dream. Around her the city woke up. Coffee shops opened, their warm light spilling onto sidewalks. People rushed to work, clutching lattes and briefcases. The world kept turning, indifferent as always, but something had shifted. She could feel it in her chest, warm and unfamiliar. Hope. Henry Whitmore was alive. He was with his son. He was going to be okay, and she'd helped make that happen. Maybe kindness really could change things. Maybe it wasn't foolish. Maybe her mother had been right all along. She walked to the nearest bank, wet, exhausted, probably looking half homeless herself, opened an account with the $800, paid her back rent online, and texted Mr. Chen, begging for her room back. His response, fine, but one more late payment and you're done. No exceptions. She'd take it. That night, in her reclaimed room with her still damp belongings piled in the corner, Aaliyah collapsed on her bed, and slept for 14 hours straight. When she woke, it was late afternoon. Her phone showed 17 missed calls and 3 voicemails, all from Jacob Whitmore. The first voicemail, Miss Brooks, this is Jacob Whitmore. Please call me back as soon as you get this. We need to talk. It's important. The second, Aaliyah, please. I know you're probably exhausted, but I really need to speak with you, today if possible. The third, I'm not giving up. I'll keep calling until you answer. What you did, what you sacrificed. We need to talk about it, please. Her hand shook as she called back. He answered on the first ring. Aaliyah, thank God. Hi, sorry. I was sleeping. Don't apologize. You deserved rest. Are you okay? Did you get somewhere safe? Yeah. Got my apartment back. Good. That's good. He paused. Listen. Can you meet me today? I know it's sudden, but there's something I want to discuss with you. Something important. What is it? I'd rather talk in person. Please. It won't take long. I can send a car to pick you up. She wanted to say no, wanted to tell him she was fine. She didn't need anything more. The money was enough, but curiosity won. Okay. When? Give me your address. I'll have a car there in 1 hour. The car was another Mercedes, this one with leather seats that felt like clouds. The driver was professional and silent, which was fine by Aaliyah. She didn't want to make small talk, didn't know what to say anyway. Hi. I'm the girl who found a lost old man and ruined my life helping him. How are you? They drove through parts of Atlanta Aaliyah had only seen from bus windows, the wealthy parts, where houses had gates and circular driveways and lawns you could play soccer on, where people didn't worry about rent or where their next meal came from. Finally they pulled up to a building downtown, glass and steel, modern architecture, 20 stories of success reaching toward the sky, a sign out front, Whitmore and Sons Coffee Company. Oh. The lobby was all marble and soft lighting. A massive photograph dominated one wall, coffee farmers in what looked like Colombia, smiling as they held up ripe coffee cherries. The caption read, "Building communities, one cup at a time." The receptionist smiled warmly when Aaliyah approached. "Miss Brooks, Mr. Whitmore is expecting you. Top floor. The elevator's right there." The elevator was nicer than her entire apartment building. Mirrors on every wall, soft jazz playing, buttons that actually worked when you pressed them. The top floor was all windows. Atlanta spread out below like a circuit board. Streets and buildings and tiny cars, moving in patterns that looked random but weren't. Jacob Whitmore stood by the floor-to-ceiling windows, hands in his pockets, staring out at his city. He turned when she entered. "Aaliyah, thank you for coming. You made it sound important." "It is." He gestured to a leather chair positioned across from a massive desk. Real wood, she thought. Probably cost more than a year of her rent. "Please, sit. Coffee." "Sure."
He poured from a silver pot into china cups. Real china. The kind you didn't buy at Target. The coffee smelled incredible, rich and dark and complex with notes she couldn't identify but wanted to chase forever. "Our signature blend," Jacob said, handing her the cup. "My father created it 30 years ago. Ethiopian beans mixed with Colombian, roasted at precisely 425 degrees for exactly 11 minutes. He spent 2 years perfecting it." Aaliyah sipped. It was the best coffee she'd ever tasted. "It's amazing. Dad always said coffee should be an experience, not just caffeine delivery. He said every cup should tell a story." Jacob sat across from her, his own cup untouched. "He taught me everything about this business. Took me to every farm we source from. Introduced me to every farmer. Made sure I understood that coffee isn't about beans, it's about people. He sounds like a good man." "He is." Jacob rubbed his face. 3 months ago he disappeared. Just walked out one day and never came back. "What happened?" "My mother died 6 months ago. Breast cancer. She'd been his everything. They'd been married 43 years. High school sweethearts. Never spent more than a week apart their entire marriage." Jacob's voice roughened. "Dad took it hard. Started forgetting things. Little things at first. Where he put his keys. What day it was. Then bigger things. He'd forget conversations we just had. Forget which car was his. The doctors said early onset dementia. Said it was progressing fast. I'm so sorry, I didn't handle it well. I was busy with the company. We're in the middle of a major expansion, 15 new locations in 3 states. I was stressed, overwhelmed, and I wasn't there for him. Not the way I should have been." His hands clenched. "We fought about his memory problems. I wanted him to see specialists, move into assisted living. He said I was trying to put him in a home to die. Said I was giving up on him like everyone else did." Aaliyah could picture it. The son trying to help, the father feeling betrayed. "He left one day after a particularly bad fight. Just walked out. We filed missing persons reports. Hired private investigators. Put up flyers. Posted on social media. Nothing. It was like he'd vanished into thin air." Jacob looked at her directly. "Then you found him. On a bus. And you didn't just call someone. You took him home. You took care of him. You lost everything trying to help a stranger. Anyone would have. No, they wouldn't have. Most people would have walked past. Or called 911 and forgotten about it 5 minutes later. But you gave him your last dollar, your food, your home." His voice broke slightly. "The doctor examined him yesterday. Ran every test. He's doing better. More lucid. The memory's coming back in pieces. And you know what he keeps talking about." "What?" "You, the girl on the bus. The angel who saved him." Jacob leaned forward. "He told me what you did. All of it. How you tried to help him find his family. How you slept in a bus stop in the rain rather than abandon him. How you lost your job and your apartment because you chose kindness over self-preservation." Aaliyah shifted uncomfortably. "I just did what anyone. Stop saying that. It's not true and we both know it." Jacob slid a folder across the desk. "I want to offer you something. And before you refuse, please just look at it." She opened the folder. Her eyes widened. Georgia State University, full scholarship agreement. The details were incredible. Full tuition, room and board, living expenses, books, everything. All the way through her master's degree. No strings, no requirements except maintaining a 2.5 GPA. "This is too much," she whispered. "It's not enough. It's nowhere near enough. I can't accept this." "Why not?" Because I didn't help him for money. I didn't help him expecting anything. I know, that's exactly why you deserve it. Jacob's voice was earnest. You saved my father's life. You gave me a second chance with him. How do you put a price on that? How do you repay someone for giving you back your family? Aaliyah stared at the papers. Every practical bone in her body screamed take it. This was everything she'd been working toward. Everything she'd struggled for. Her mother had died trying to give her this chance, and here it was, being handed to her. But something held her back. Please, she said carefully, let me earn it. Give me a job. A real job. I'll work for the scholarship. I'll prove I deserve it. Jacob smiled. The first real smile she'd seen from him. You want to work for it? Yes, even though you already earned it by saving my father's life. Yes. He studied her for a long moment. You're stubborn. I prefer determined. Dad said you reminded him of my mother. She was stubborn too, determined to do things the right way, even when the easy way was right there. He tapped the folder. All right, you start Monday. We'll find you a position that fits your skills and interests, but the scholarship stands, non-negotiable. Consider it a benefits package if that makes you feel better. Aaliyah's eyes burned. Thank you. No, thank you. Truly. He stood extending his hand. Welcome to Whitmore & Sons, Aaliyah Brooks. Something tells me you're going to change this place. She shook his hand, feeling the warmth of it, the sincerity. The door opened. Henry walked in, moving slowly but steadily. He looked clean, rested, wearing proper clothes, almost like a different person from the man she'd found on the bus. His face lit up like sunrise. They told me you were here. She stood. Henry, you look so much better. I feel better, almost like myself again. The doctors say my memory's improving, coming back in waves. He crossed the room and hugged her. A real hug, tight and grateful. Thank you, for everything. For seeing me when I was invisible. For not giving up on me. She hugged him back. This old man who'd been a stranger 4 days ago and was now something like family. I'm glad you're okay, more than okay. I have my son back. I have my life back. I have my memories back. He pulled away, keeping his hands on her shoulders. Because of you. Jacob poured more coffee. The three of them sat together in comfortable chairs. The morning sun streaming through the windows, warming everything. They talked about nothing and everything. Henry told stories about the early days of the company, learning to roast from his father his first successful blend, the day they opened their second location. Some he remembered clearly, some Jacob had to fill in the gaps. You were so proud that day, Jacob said. The second location. You called Mom and told her we'd made it, that we were really truly going to make it. She cried. Henry said. Happy tears. She always believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. They sat like that for an hour, maybe more. Time felt different here, up high above the city, surrounded by warmth and comfort and the smell of good coffee. For the first time in years, maybe since her mother died, Aaliyah felt something like peace, like maybe the world wasn't entirely cruel, like maybe kindness did matter, like maybe her mother had been right all along. 5 years later, Aaliyah Brooks stood at the podium in the newly opened Whitmore Community Center, looking out at the crowd of about 200 people gathered for the grand opening. She was 24 now, older, wiser, tired in new ways but strong in others. Her hair was different, natural now, worn in twists that framed her face. She dressed differently too, professional but authentic, her own style. She'd earned her bachelor's degree in 3 years, graduating with honors, then her MBA from Emory, funded entirely by Whitmore & Sons. True to Jacob's word, they'd paid for everything. Tuition, books, living expenses, everything. But more than that, they'd given her purpose. Thank you all for coming, she said into the microphone. Feedback squealed briefly before the sound guy adjusted it. 5 years ago I was a broke college student working minimum wage, struggling to pay rent, wondering how I was going to make it through another week. I was tired. I was hungry. I was one crisis away from dropping out. The crowd listened. Press people with cameras, community leaders with thoughtful expressions, city council members checking their phones. Then I met a man on a bus. He was lost, confused, scared. Everyone ignored him. Everyone treated him like he was invisible, like his confusion was an inconvenience to their day. And honestly, I almost did the same thing. I was late for work. I was broke. I had my own problems. She paused, letting the moment breathe. But I stopped. I helped. And that choice, that one small choice to pay a bus fare for a stranger, changed my entire life. It taught me something important. Kindness isn't charity. It's not about feeling good or earning gratitude or getting recognition. It's about recognizing humanity in everyone, even when it's inconvenient, even when it costs something, especially when it costs something. Applause rippled through the crowd, light at first, then building. That man I helped was Henry Whitmore, the founder of Whitmore & Sons Coffee. But when I met him, he wasn't a successful businessman. He was just a scared old man who needed help. And the lesson I learned is this: everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Everyone deserves dignity. Everyone deserves kindness. She gestured to the building around them, bright, modern, welcoming. That's why we're here today. To launch Coffee with Kindness, a program where every coffee sold at any Whitmore & Sons location contributes to a free meal for someone experiencing homelessness or food insecurity. No questions asked, no applications, no judgment, just dignity and a warm meal, and the message that you matter. The applause was louder now, real and sustained. Jacob stood in the front row, smiling proudly. Beside him, Henry sat in a wheelchair. His condition had worsened over the years despite treatment, but he was still here, still fighting, still showing up every day, with that gentle smile that had saved her life as much as she'd saved his. I want to thank Jacob and Henry Whitmore for believing in this vision, Aaliyah continued, for believing in me when I was just a broke student with an idea, for understanding that business can be a force for good, that profit and purpose aren't opposites, they're partners. She looked directly at Henry. He nodded, tears on his face. This program isn't just about free meals. It's about changing how we see each other. It's about remembering that the person sleeping on the bench or asking for change or looking confused on a bus, they're someone's father, someone's son, someone who matters. More applause. Some people were standing now. So when you buy your coffee tomorrow morning, know that you're not just buying a drink. You're feeding someone who's hungry. You're telling someone who feels invisible that they're seen. You're participating in a circle of kindness that keeps growing and growing. She stepped back from the podium. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for believing that we can do better, that we can build a city, a world where nobody goes hungry and nobody is invisible. Now please enjoy the coffee, enjoy the space, and most importantly, enjoy being part of something bigger than ourselves. The crowd erupted, not just polite applause but real enthusiasm. People stood clapping, some whistling. Reporters pushed forward with questions. Community leaders wanted partnerships. Local business owners wanted to contribute. In the crowd, Aaliyah saw a familiar face. Her stomach clenched. Mrs. Dillon, her old manager from Lou's place. The older woman approached hesitantly after the press dispersed. She looked different, smaller somehow, uncertain. Her hair was grayer, her face more lined. Aaliyah, Mrs. Dillon, I saw the news about what you're doing, about this program. It's remarkable. Thank you. I wanted to apologize. The words came out stiff, uncomfortable, like they hurt to say, for how I treated you, for how I treated that man, Henry. I was cruel, I was heartless, I was wrong. Aaliyah looked at her former manager, could have held the grudge. Part of her wanted to tell Mrs. Dillon exactly how much damage she'd done, how that moment had almost destroyed her, but kindness was about more than revenge. I appreciate you saying that. I'd like to donate to your program, if you'll accept it. Mrs. Dillon pulled out a check. It's not much, but I want to be part of making things better, part of fixing what I broke. The check was for $500, more than Aaliyah had expected. Thank you. This will help a lot of people. Mrs. Dillon's eyes filled with tears. You're a better person than me, than I was, than I am. I'm just trying to do what's right, and it's never too late to start doing that. Never too late to change. I hope you're right. I am. They stood in awkward silence for a moment. Then Mrs. Dillon nodded and walked away. Jacob appeared at Aaliyah's elbow. That took courage. On both sides. Yeah, you handled it well. I had a good teacher. She gestured to Henry, who was talking animatedly with a reporter about the old days of the coffee business. He's proud of you, you know. Tells everyone who'll listen about the angel who saved his life. I didn't save his life. I just helped him find his way home. Same thing. Jacob smiled. Come on. Press wants more photos. You're the face of this thing now. Later, as the crowd dispersed and the sun set over Atlanta, Aaliyah stood with Henry and Jacob in the now quiet community center. You did good today, Jacob said. We did good. This is as much yours as mine. More really. No, this is yours. We just helped fund it. The vision, the heart, the why behind it all, that's all you. He checked his watch. I need to head out. Conference call with the West Coast. Go. We're good here. After Jacob left, Aaliyah sat with Henry. He'd grown more tired as the day went on, the excitement wearing on him. How are you feeling? Old, he said with a chuckle. But happy, so happy. He reached out, taking her hand. His grip was weak but warm. You know what I realized today? What's that? That day on the bus when you gave me your last $1, that was the day both our lives started over. You saved me, but I think maybe I saved you too. Maybe you did. We needed each other. And somehow in a city of millions we found each other. He squeezed her hand. That's not coincidence. That's grace. Aaliyah felt tears prick her eyes. Thank you, Henry, for everything, for reminding me why kindness matters. Thank you for showing me that I still mattered, that I was still human even when I couldn't remember my own name. They sat together as the light faded, two people who'd saved each other, surrounded by the evidence of what kindness could build. 3 months after the launch of Coffee with Kindness, the program had served over 10,000 meals. Local news kept covering it. National news picked it up. Other cities were calling, asking how to implement similar programs. Aaliyah spent her mornings at the first Whitmore & Sons location, the original shop Henry had opened 43 years ago. They'd renovated it, bringing back the oak tree that stood outside. Turned out it had been cut down in 2008. They planted a new one, repainting the door that distinctive blue Henry remembered. It looked like something from his memories made real. One Tuesday morning, quiet and crisp with early autumn, Aaliyah worked behind the counter. She'd insisted on taking shifts here, staying connected to the ground level, staying connected to the why behind everything they did. A customer came in, a businessman in an expensive suit, already on his phone, already stressed about whatever businessmen stress about. Large coffee, black. Make it fast. Aaliyah poured it. Anything else? No. He was still on his phone, not looking at her. She handed him the coffee. Have a good day. He left without responding, without seeing her at all. Some things never changed. The door chimed again. An older man shuffled in, clothes worn but clean, eyes uncertain. He looked around like he wasn't sure he belonged. Coffee? Aaliyah asked gently. I don't have money. That's okay. Coffee with Kindness, on the house. She poured him a cup. Cream, sugar, both, please, if it's not too much trouble. No trouble at all. She fixed it the way her mother used to, sweet and light. Handed it to him with a warm blueberry muffin. Here. Breakfast too. The man's eyes filled with tears. Thank you. You don't know what this means. I haven't eaten since yesterday, and I thought nobody cared. We care. You matter. Don't forget that. Thank you, he whispered again. God bless you. He sat at a table by the window, the same table where Henry sat most mornings. Henry was there today, bundled in a thick cardigan despite the heating. His memory came and went these days. Some days he knew everyone, could tell stories for hours. Other days he thought Aaliyah was his daughter, or Margaret come back to life. Today was somewhere in between. He knew who she was, but kept forgetting they'd already talked about the program launch. Morning Angel, he said as she brought him his special blend, the same one from 30 years ago that he'd created, the same one Jacob still roasted every morning. Morning Henry, how's the program going? Amazing. We hit 10,000 meals served yesterday. 10,000, he smiled, tears in his eyes. That's beautiful, just beautiful. He paused. Did I tell you about the program launch? You were there, remember? 3 months ago, was I? He looked confused. I don't remember that. That's okay. You gave a great speech. I did. He brightened. What did I say? You said that kindness is the only thing that matters in the end. That everything else, money, success, recognition, it all fades. But the people we help, the love we give, that lasts forever. That sounds like something I'd say. He sipped his coffee slowly. Outside the window, a bus number 42 pulled up to the stop. People got off, people got on, the world kept moving, indifferent and beautiful. You know what I realized?
Henry said suddenly. What's that? That day on the bus, when you gave me your last dollar, that was the day my life started over. He looked at her with those clear blue eyes. But it was also the day yours did. You've said that before. Have I? He smiled. Must be true then, if I keep saying it. It is true. You gave me back more than my memory. You gave me my son, my purpose, my dignity. He took her hand. And I gave you what? What did I give you? Hope. Aaliyah said simply. You gave me hope. You reminded me that kindness matters. That one person really can make a difference. Jacob walked in then, carrying a box of pastries from the French bakery 2 blocks over. Morning, you two. Dad, you're up early. Couldn't sleep. Wanted to see my favorite people. They sat together, the 3 of them, at the table by the window, talking about expansion plans, about the 15 new locations opening next month, all with coffee with kindness built into their business model from day one. About partnerships with other businesses wanting to do similar things, but mostly they just enjoyed the coffee, and the company, and the feeling of being part of something bigger than themselves. The homeless man at the next table finished his muffin, stood to leave. He paused by Aaliyah's table. Thank you again, for seeing me, for treating me like a person. Come back any time, every day, if you want. You're always welcome here. He nodded, tears in his eyes, and left. As he pushed through the door, another person came in, then another, then a group of college students, laughing and stressed about exams. The morning rush started. Aaliyah worked the counter alongside 2 other baristas, both formerly homeless, both now employed full-time through the program, both rebuilding their lives, one shift at a time. Around 11, during a lull, a young woman came in, college-aged, backpack heavy with textbooks, exhaustion written all over her face like graffiti. What can I get you? Aaliyah asked. Just a small coffee, black, whatever's cheapest. Aaliyah recognized that tone, that desperation, that trying to seem fine when everything is falling apart energy. Coming up, she poured a large instead of small. This one's on me, and take a muffin, please. I can't, I didn't pay for. You don't have to. That's the whole point. Aaliyah smiled. Rough day, rough semester, rough year. The girl tried to smile but it cracked. Lost my campus job. Behind on rent. My roommate kicked me out. I've been sleeping in the library for 3 days, but it's fine. I'll figure it out. Aaliyah knew that feeling, knew it intimately and viscerally. Listen, we're hiring. She grabbed an application from under the counter. Fill this out. Put me down as a reference. I'm the community programs director. We need good people, really, really. And in the meantime, you can eat here. Coffee and food. Every day if you need to. That's what we're here for. The girl's eyes filled with tears. Why are you being so nice to me? Because someone was nice to me once, when I needed it most, and that changed everything. Aaliyah squeezed her hand. You matter. Things are hard right now, but they won't always be. Trust me. Thank you, the girl whispered. You have no idea how much this means. I have some idea. As the girl left clutching her coffee and muffin and application, Henry called out from his table. You see that? See what? The circle, it keeps going round and round. You helped me. Now you're helping her. She'll help someone else someday. And on and on. He smiled, his face peaceful. It's beautiful. The whole thing. It's just beautiful. Yeah, Aaliyah said, watching the girl disappear into the Atlanta morning. It really is. Later that afternoon, when the rush died down and the shop settled into its comfortable afternoon hum, Aaliyah stood at the window. The oak tree outside swayed in the breeze, its leaves just starting to turn golden red. The blue door reflected sunlight like water. Behind her the shop hummed with life. Conversations about midterms and job interviews and weekend plans. Laughter from a group of nurses just off shift. The rhythmic hiss of the espresso machine. The smell of fresh coffee and warm pastries and hope. Jacob joined her at the window, thinking about something. Just how different things are now. How different I am. You saved my father's life, and he saved mine. That's what I keep trying to tell people. It wasn't one-sided. We saved each other. That's what real kindness is, I think, Jacob said. Not a transaction, not charity, just humans helping humans, and everyone coming out better for it. They stood in comfortable silence watching the city move past the window. "We're opening 3 more locations next quarter," Jacob said. "Seattle, Portland and Austin. All with the full Coffee with Kindness program. That's incredible. It's what Dad wanted. What he always wanted really, even before he could articulate it. He used to say that business should serve people, not the other way around." Jacob paused. "You know what he told me yesterday, on one of his really clear days?" "What?" he said. "That girl on the bus, she reminded the world what humanity looks like. He said you were proof that one person really can change everything. That kindness is never wasted, even when it costs everything." Aaliyah felt emotion swell in her chest, warm and bittersweet. "I'm not that special. You are. You just don't see it yet." The door chimed. More customers, more people to serve, more small acts of kindness to spread, more connections to make that would ripple out in ways they'd never see. This was her life now. Not perfect, not easy, not without stress and long hours and difficult decisions, but meaningful, so deeply meaningful. That night, after closing, Aaliyah sat with Henry, while Jacob locked up the shop. Outside, the streetlights flickered on one by one, painting the sidewalk in pools of gold. "You tired, Henry?" "Always tired these days, but happy, so happy." He patted her hand with fingers that shook slightly. "Thank you for taking care of me that day, for not walking past like everyone else did, for seeing me when I was invisible. Thank you for reminding me why I should care, why any of us should care. We saved each other, didn't we?" "Yeah, we really did." Outside, the city lights flickered against the darkening sky. Atlanta glowed like embers, beautiful and harsh and full of people trying to find their way home. Somewhere out there, someone was lost. Someone was struggling. Someone was sitting on a bus or a bench or a street corner, feeling invisible and forgotten. And somewhere out there, someone would stop. Someone would help. Someone would choose kindness even when it was hard. The circle would continue, because that's what kindness did. It spread, quietly, persistently, one choice at a time, one person at a time, one cup of coffee at a time. Aaliyah locked the blue door behind them. The sign above it glowed softly in the dusk. "Grace Brew, where kindness begins." She smiled at the name. It had been Henry's idea from one of his clearer days. "Grace," he'd said, "because that's what you gave me, unearned, undeserved grace." The bus number 42 pulled up to the stop across the street. The doors opened with a familiar hiss. Aaliyah climbed aboard, Henry and Jacob behind her. The driver nodded at them, recognizing regulars. They found seats together, the 3 of them, as the bus lurched forward into the city night. Through the window, Aaliyah could see her reflection, 24 years old, tired but strong, scarred but whole. 5 years ago, she'd been a broke student on this same bus route, wondering how she'd survive another week. Now she was someone who'd built something meaningful, who'd taken her worst moment and turned it into something that helped thousands of people, all because she'd stopped for a stranger. The bus rumbled through downtown, past coffee shops and restaurants and people rushing home. The world kept turning, life kept happening, and in small, quiet, persistent ways it was getting better. One kind act at a time, one person choosing to care, one circle of grace completing itself and starting again. The bus turned onto Peachtree Street, passing the very spot where she'd first met Henry 5 years ago. She looked out the window at that familiar corner and smiled. Everything had changed, everything had stayed the same. And somehow, impossibly beautifully, that was perfect.
Join us to share meaningful stories by hitting the like and subscribe buttons. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell to start your day with profound lessons and heartfelt empathy.